So I'm going to read a selection from an autobiography called Tigerbelle, written by Wyomia Tyus. She was famously a member of the Tigerbelles, a track and field team at Tennessee State University, and she's most famous for having won the gold medal for the 100 meters in both the 1964 and the 1968 Olympics. And She grew up in rural Georgia. She went to Tennessee State University. After her professional running career ends, she gets very involved with the advancement of women's athletics, and she later has a career in education, particularly outdoor education. And the section that I'm going to read here about her childhood in Georgia relates as well to her future career as an educator. So, the Sundays when my mom wasn't mad at my dad, which was most Sundays, we did the thing that I loved best. My dad, my brother Junior, and I would go walking in the woods. Jimmy Lee was usually off hanging out with his white friends, and Jackie was already gone. He had lied about his age and joined the military when he was 16. But Junior and I would run and hide and climb trees, pick up rocks, and see who could throw them the farthest, just be kids. At one point or another, we would stop walking and we would sit. We would always have our knives with us, and we would whittle while we were sitting. We didn't have to talk about anything, although sometimes my dad would tell us about everything he saw. So we learned a lot about nature without really knowing that that was what we were doing. We would dig in the soil, and he would say what was rich soil, what was not, and I would ask questions. How did they get all these trees here? They planted some for sure, he would say, but then seeds just go places and grow. How could seeds just go places and grow? I was always asking stuff like that, and he would explain it all to me. Not that he was giving out any great wisdom, more like he was just telling us what was there to see if we knew enough to see it. Sometimes it was just practical things like, you shouldn't play in these bushes because that's where snakes hang out, or you need to watch out for this plant, it's poisonous. But other times, he wasn't so much explaining things to us as exposing us to the feeling of being free. I think that's how he looked at being in the woods, why he brought us there. This is what nature is about. It's about freedom. This is all out there for you. This beauty and this freedom. This is how life is supposed to be. Beautiful, calm, and serene. He didn't use those exact words, but that was the idea that I got from our walks. He had a sense of wonder about it all, especially in the springtime and the fall, when things were changing. He would say, "Look how pretty this is." So it was never like he was teaching us a lesson. More like, "Look at this. Do you ever wonder how that got there? God put it there." How do you know God put it here? I was always bucking up against the God thing. You never seen God. How do you know the devil didn't do it? He has powers too. And my dad would say, "Now, baby, you shouldn't be saying things like that." But I'm sure he got a big joy out of the fact that I questioned every darn thing. My mom would say, "You're not to question God." But my dad was more like us. He had questions too. He wanted us to be expressive. He didn't talk much, so he didn't really know how to teach us. His teaching was more through making us feel comfortable, through making us feel free. He wanted us to be able to express ourselves, to look at things with wonder and question them. The farm was so big, but now when I think back about it, we probably walked the same path all the time. The cows had to be milked twice a day, in the mornings and then at night, so that at the end of our walks, we would round them up and push them all the way back to the dairy. That was the best time in my life. I just totally enjoyed those walks. I think about it a lot of times now. And when I was working the last job I had, which was in outdoor education, Sometimes in the morning, driving to work, I would think, this job is just like walking the farm. It was also pleasant. It just felt comfortable in my whole situation, and it was wonderful. My favorite, remember it still, is of walking the farm with my dad.